What is going on, everybody? It's KB. Before the episode starts, make sure you go check out StreamerSZN's brand new theme music. That's right. We have full-time, brand new theme music thanks to the newest homie and newest member of the music side of Underground Sports Philadelphia homies. That is Mobley. Stay Volk. His new single is out now. It is linked in the description on YouTube, and you'll be hearing it on audio until we can figure out if we can play it on video on StreamerSZN episodes from here on out. That's our new theme music. Stay Volk. Go download it now wherever you get your music, and go check out the music video on YouTube. But now, let's get into the episode of StreamerSZN.
Philadelphia, baby, you're gonna love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
Boy, oh boy, are we more back than ever, and we love doing episodes in reverse. Hit the TV bar. What is going on, everybody? Welcome into another edition of StreamerSZN, the exclusive streaming platform TV and movie podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. It's KB and Christian coming at you, and before we get into any of this, like I mentioned at the top, we're doing this episode in reverse, so everything you see after this actually got recorded before this. But Christian, I have breaking news.
Huh?
That I haven't disclosed to you. Somehow, some way, we have found a sentient being to slither their way into the TVA and time slip and have made contact with our good pal, Dylan Mazzola.
He's alive.
Dylan is alive.
Alive.
He's okay. And the reason he's been MIA has been
Life.
He bought a house. He finally got the house. So that is why he has been, as he put it, 0 dark 30 for the last however long, because he bought the house and has been doing upgrades to the house, and he said,
"Oh
I am
God,
more broke than ever." So yeah, hopefully once he's all settled in with as much as possible with the house, we can canoodle Dylan back into being on the show. But that is the update on where our time-slipping Time Lord has been. Congrats to Dylan, he bought a house.
And I will say this now: as soon as Dylan gets back, I'm going to work with him to force you to guess it to essentially probably 12 months after the fact to finally talk about Scott Program takes off.
Well, Dylan did take off for about a half a year, so
yes, he very much.
It'll be Dylan Mazzola takes off. But congrats.
Yes, congrats to Dylan. Anyone with good photo editing skills, if you want to re-edit the poster of Scott Pilgrim takes off to say Dylan takes off.
So hopefully, maybe by summertime, Dylan will be all settled in. He can come back on the show. But we have made contact, and it is
one small step for StreamerSZN, one giant leap for USP kind.
We are diving into a new show, the Sympathizer on HBO. And guess what, guys? More breaking news. I'm back in my HBO Max account.
Woohoo! It only took how many months again, Kyle?
About the same time Dylan's been gone. However long ago Max and HGTV and all of the stuff merged together has been how long I've been locked out of my Max account until now. But I'm back in. We're going to talk some more XMen 97 and catch up on that. And then, of course, dive into all the streaming platform news and notes. And somewhere in this episode, because it's happened since we recorded our XMen 97 and news and notes, Christian and I will also be discussing the newly released Deadpool and Wolverine trailer, because let's fucking go.
Let's fucking go.
Before we get into all of that, make sure you guys are following us on the socials at StreamerSZN on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Facebook.com/undergroundsportsphi. You can also follow Underground Sports Philadelphia on LinkedIn. We are now on LinkedIn, just testing the waters with some new stuff there and just seeing what we can do to enhance our content and our reach and get a different audience in the mix. But connect with us on LinkedIn and follow Christian on Twitter at @thewiz_PHI. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the podcast feed on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts in audio form, but those two in particular, because we get the analytics and the data about them directly from our podcast providers. And it helps us continue to grow, helps us do more dope shit with and for you guys. So keep subscribing on audio and on Apple, Spotify. Leave those 5-star reviews. Subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. That is where you get full video episodes of this show, full video episodes of every show on our network, clips, shorts, live streams, original video content. Big shout out to LeBron James for sticking up for the Sixers against the NBA refs, because we posted an 11-second video that got us almost 10,000 views and about 10 new subscribers. So shout out to King James, star of Space Jam 2. Absolute king. Nothing but respect.
Don't make me talk about that film, Carl. Don't make me talk about that
Nothing but
film.
respect for LeBron James in this instance.
Nothing but respect for LeBron James, the basketball player.
Facts. Talk yo shit, King. And of course, get your merch at phiapparel.co. If you want to stand out in the crowd with the best merch in the game, Streamer Season shirts, hoodies, Philadelphia centric merch, and of course Underground Sports Philadelphia, our entire catalog of podcasts. We're working on some new merch. Hopefully that'll be out within the next month or so. So stay tuned for that. But you want to stand out in the crowd, go to phiapparel.co and use code Underground, and you'll get 10% off any and all merch orders. Most effective and direct way to support everything we're doing here at Underground Sports Philadelphia. So go to phiapparel.co and use code Underground for 10% off your orders. Christian, I'll let you take the floor here to explain to the people what the heck the Sympathizer is, and then we will dive into the first 2 episodes of the show.
Okay, so for those who don't know, the Sympathizer, A, was my number 2 most anticipated show of 2024. And there's one thing I do feel stupid about looking at this list. And that's not having Shogun on there, but also we literally didn't know that much about Shogun until we got inundated with ads at the Super Bowl, and I went, ooh, Shogun. And now Shogun's probably one of the best limited series of all time, but that's a different side point. But I had Sympathizer number 2. So the Sympathizer is adapted from, I believe, a New York Times bestseller, if not just a best-selling book, called The Sympathizer. And I'm sorry, but I'm not going to try and pronounce the name of the author. Kyle, if you want to give it a shot, go ahead.
I will pull it up here. Viet Ton Nugent?
I thought it would be Nguyen, but I don't know how to pronounce it. This type, I don't know how to pronounce Southeast Asian names. Korean names, yes. Southeast Asian, no. But so it's adapted from a best-selling novel. The basic premise: near the end of the Vietnam War, a spy who is embedded in the South Vietnam Army flees to the United States and takes up residence in a refugee community, where he continues to gather intelligence and report back to the Viet Cong. So he's a spy for a spy. So that's the first thing. We have a espionage limited series based on a best-selling novel. That's a great start for a show. Wouldn't you say so, Kyle?
Yep, gives you source material for sure.
And it is. Let's see where to start on this. It is a show produced by A24 for Max, so that's already a check. You have the A24 check mark. It has Robert Downey Jr. in multiple roles, including a CIA agent, a Orientalist grad school professor who I'm 90% sure is gay, but we'll talk about that. A filmmaker who is apparently based on Francis Ford Coppola, and a Southern California congressman. And there's symbolism by him playing all these different roles and caked in various sorts of makeup. But also alongside him, we have again. I'm sorry for butchering this name. Ho Junti. I butchered that so bad, probably. Who some people may know from the failed, or some people may know from Cowboy Bebop. He did some stuff on there. You may also know Sandra Oh, who shows up in the second episode, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Right? She's not in the first one. And various other people. But the most important part to me, this show was created by, and written by, in every single episode, as well as directing the first three, the great Korean filmmaker Park Chan-wook. For those of you who don't know Park Chan-wook, I desperately ask you to seek out his films, because Park Chan-wook is, for people who are at least willing to watch foreign films, he is one of the, I would say, two key voices for Western audiences. It's him and Bong Joon-ho. Some of his most notable films, 2000's Joint Security Area, which is basically a story about a shooting that happens in the North-South Korea DMZ, and it's a thriller about trying to figure out what happened there. There is the Vengeance trilogy, which is Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, Old Boy, and Lady Vengeance. If you guys want to watch a really sick, fucked up, super enjoyable revenge thriller, watch Old Boy. It's currently streaming on Netflix, which I was insanely happy when that got on Netflix. And the 2016 version of The Handmaiden, which people should be able to find on Prime, which is a unreasonably horny film. It is unreasonably horny. And then yes, bonk. And then 2022's Decision to Leave, which is him doing what I could closely describe as his version of a Hitchcock film. And some people may or may not know this, but back in 2018, he directed all six episodes of a British TV series for AMC based on a John Le Carre novel called Little Drummer Girl. It starred Michael Shannon, Alex Skarsgård, and Florence Pugh.
Jesus.
Like, Director Park is one of the masters and one of the true filmmakers. So anytime he makes anything, anyone who cares about TV or movies should pay attention, because it's at least worth giving a watch. And when everyone's saying, hey, Director Park is doing a TV show being produced by A24, and it's going on Max, and he wrote all the episodes, and he only directed 3, but I mean, he wrote all 4. Wrote all 7, which, by the way, 7 episodes is a weird number, but that's not a diatribe I need to have. But yes, just yes to everything. This is just pure cinema brain with me going, okay, this is exactly what I want my TV to be. I want great artists making good, making interesting shows with relatively high production quality that make me remember, oh yeah, this is why TV is great. So yeah, shall we dive into the first 2 episodes of
Yeah, I just have to say we sadly
Sympathizer?
have beef as Phillies fans with Florence Pugh currently because she was
Oh yeah,
photographed wearing a
listen,
Braves hat. I need to know who
I
got.
know.
I need to know who did that to her. Who massacred my girl?
Princess Aurelion, why?
Like,
Why have you done this to her? Why have you done this to our to us Philadelphia area Dune lovers?
absolutely tragic, horrendous. It was a terrible thing. Aubrey Plaza would never. Um,
Our 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 favorite scowly faced queen.
she's the best. But yeah, let's get into it. The first episode is titled Death Wish. Um, and according to Nielsen Media Research, the episode was seen by an estimated 0.206 million household viewers and gained a 0.04 rating share among adults aged 18 to 49. The episode received positive reviews from critics who praised Park's directing, performances, tone, tension, and editing. Christian, drop that spoiler warning.
The thing here is, I can't meme this spoiler warning because it either has to go with on me trying to impersonate Robert Downey Jr.'s impersonations or me going in a way that gets me canceled. So
Let's
I
not
just
do
have,
that.
yeah, I know. So everyone, please, if you have not watched the great show The Sympathizer yet, I would please ask you to quickly pause this episode, go and watch this great show on Max, enjoy it, appreciate it, and come back to listen to us talk about The Sympathizer. Thank you. Enjoy the show.
And make sure you're logged into your Max accounts. I mean, get kicked out like I did for months at a time.
Kind of ideal.
So at a North Vietnam re-education camp, a man known as the Captain is pressured by soldiers to, quote, confess his story. In 1975, 4 months before the fall of Saigon, the Captain meets with a CIA agent named Claude, who was played by Robert Downey Jr., joining him for a screening of Death Wish, which is actually an interrogation of a woman being tortured due to possessing a vital list.
But that woman, Kyle.
Let them know.
But that woman was actually someone the captain knows because Captain's a double agent.
So then, as they are joined by the general, the woman stares at the captain in hatred. 2 days prior, the captain is seen working as part of the special police for the South Vietnam Army. However, he and his colleague, is it Man or is it Mon? I forget how they pronounced it.
Oh, don't ask me.
Apologies in advance. Secretly work with the North Vietnam Army. They are friends with Bon, who is not part of their operation and is
The
content
Three
being
Musketeers.
in the country with his wife and baby. 2 months later, tensions in the country continue arising. Claude visits the captain and the general, informing them that he is disbanding their partnership and assigns them in destroying all documents linking them. The general is furious and demands 2 planes to leave the country, which Claude promises as part of Operation Frequent Wind. However, both the captain and general are aware that only 1 plane will be ready. As the captain and Man discuss their future, Man persuades him to leave on the plane and start a new life in the United States. The captain agrees, also promising to get Bon and his family out of Vietnam. With 1 day to go before the fall of Saigon, the general and the captain retrieve some selected Vietnamese to join them on the plane. Driving across the dilapidated city, they reach the military base, and Claude parts ways with the general and praises the captain for his actions. As the bus heads towards the plane, bombs start hitting the airfield, eventually causing the bus to crash. That seems fucking wild.
Which I will just say my as great as the show looks, that CGI hurt my soul a little
Yeah,
bit.
that was rough.
But again, when you're making things on an A24 budget and everything else looks great, I can forgive this to a certain extent.
The captain leads Bond and his family, but they briefly stay behind and are hit by a helicopter. Bond survives, but his wife and child die. The captain is unable to persuade Bond in leaving. And back in the present day, the captain laments his situation and his failure in protecting Bond's family. End scene.
A lot happened there.
Yeah.
A lot happened there. And one thing that summary doesn't highlight is the level of sabotage to which the captain engages in throughout this episode, where in the making of the list, he has to not bring everyone that's good, everyone that's important, so that some not important people end up in prison still for his North Vietnamese people to interrogate. However, he's also sneaking back in and taking photos of the list of names. And he's also playing both sides, playing both sides with Mon and Bon, one of which is secretly his North Vietnamese handler, and the other one's just his straight-up childhood best friend. And so it becomes a very complex web of interactions and who's playing who and who's consciously playing who and who can get away with what they're doing and who won't say anything. It's very much a show you have to pay attention to which I have no problem with. But it's a show that is slowly peeling off the layers, and I feel like it's going to build to a point, and we'll talk about this more in the second episode, where it finally cracks and it goes haywire. And that'll be a sight to see.
Yeah, I hope so. Because watching this, like, obviously, like, you have a big time cast and, the concept is there. But so far through 2 episodes, it hasn't really grabbed me fully in. Like, it looks great visually for the most part, outside of a couple CGI snafus, like Christian mentioned. And there's fun aspects so far, but like you said, it is like slowly, an emphasis on slowly peeling back the curtain a bit. And I just hope that, it's only 7 episodes. So I'm hoping that not only does it, continue to progress and everything, but I also hope they don't rush things to where it's like, oh, well, it sucks that, like, it felt like this could have been longer to enhance, like, the storytelling, but also deliver.
So my biggest concern with the show is not that they rush it, but that when director Park hands over the directing reins after episode 3, that we don't have the same stylistic show, and that it becomes more simplified and everything, which I feel like is part of the thing that's keeping the show going right now as it's building up, which is the only thing I'm really concerned about right now. Because having watched plenty of director Park's films, and I'm just triple checking this because I have his Wikipedia page. In all but one film he has directed, he has been involved in writing them. So I have faith in him to put together a strong story and not have it feel rushed and have a good ending to it. It's a question of, can it visually withstand the hand off to people of, listen, all due respect to all due respect to Fernando Morales and Mark Munden, but you two aren't Park Chan Wook. You 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 two aren't one of the best Korean filmmakers of the last almost 30 years at this point. So it's a tough bar to match after the third episode.
Um, so what is your overall, synopsis and takeaway from Death Wish? And then, we kind of mentioned before we started recording, I think, that it's going to be tough to overall grade these on an episode by episode basis until we see where things go.
Yeah, I think when it comes to grading the Sympathizer, we'll talk about the episodes each week, but fundamentally we won't end up giving them a grade, and we'll give it a series long grade at the end,
Mhm.
because this, unlike something like, as much as we love XMen 97, we can judge that more in in the moment and how we feel, because it's 20 to 30 minutes of fun, whereas Park Chan-wook is doing something larger over a longer amount of time here, which, listen, the X-Men show's doing that, but it isn't as overly concerned with that.
Mhm. Um,
Do you want to quickly run through episode 2?
well, let's do it. It is titled "Good Little Asian," and at the North Vietnam re-education camp, the captain is brought before a superior officer to continue his confession. And at the airfield, the captain and Bond run towards the plane carrying the bodies of Bond's wife and baby. Despite the wait, they manage to get on a plane and leave Saigon. And after fleeing Vietnam, the captain, Bond, and the refugees stay at Fort Chaffee, Arkansas, with the captain sending letters to Mon, who now lives in Hanoi. And amidst poor conditions, the general fails to calm the refugees and is often humiliated for his failure in maintaining peace. The captain and Bond are allowed to leave the camp for Los Angeles when they receive sponsorship from Professor Hammer. That's very funny. That's played by Robert Downey Jr., Justin Hammer, Waka Waka, an Orientalist grad school professor. The captain is taken aback by Hammer's behavior, but becomes infuriated with his secretary, Sophia Mori, played by Sandra Oh, soon developing a sexual relationship with her, which came fully out of left field and I did not see coming. Pause on that. Yeah, that kind of caught me off guard when those two started Marvin Gaye and getting it on.
Bonk, 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 bonk. Again, this is my thing. If you watch Park Chan Wook, Park Chan Wook has a horny streak, and that very much came through in the second episode.
Yeah. I was like, geez, ew, where's the drum set?
Giggity.
All right. Sometime later, the general finally moves to Los Angeles with his wife and daughter, settling at a poor, dilapidated house. To build trust with the South Vietnamese community, he decides to open a liquor store. The general shares his concerns with the captain that there might be a mole in his squad, alarming the captain. The captain meets up with the general and Claude, played by Robert Downey Jr., and both laugh over a rumor that the captain might be the mole. When questioned over why he did not get the general out earlier, Claude tells the captain that he wanted him to take a liking to America and be grateful for his new life opportunity. The captain also struggles in living with Bond, who is angry that he is having sex in their apartment in front of his family's photographs. The captain shares his suspicion that he should give Major Owen out as the mole, and Bond offers to help him.
I feel like this now, 2 episodes in, is where, because when Robert Downey Jr. popped up the second time, my mom was instantly confused and I had to pause and explain what was going on. So, Kyle, what are your thoughts so far on the multi Robert Downey Jr.'s?
I can understand your mom's confusion. It kind of caught me off guard and threw me for a loop at first. I think he's doing a great job with the multiple roles, but I think for the average consumer
Yeah.
of this show, it's a lot is not the right term, but it is something that
It's
can
it's
easily confuse somebody and be like, what the fuck is happening?
yeah, this goes back to the show demanding you pay attention, because he specifically says in a line that uh one of his former college professors is is out there, and then it immediately goes to his college professor, who is Robert Downey Jr., who's an Orientalist professor who loves wearing Orientalist clothes, has a Japanese secretary, well, a Japanese American secretary who he keeps telling that she should learn more Japanese, which again, it's a problematic character by modern cultural standards, but of the time, shrug. But I don't remember where I saw this, but there's meant to be a clear symbolism when we've seen this whole thing through, of the type of characters that Robert Downey Jr. is playing throughout as these central white characters across these people's lives, because basically everyone else we've seen is Asian, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's meant to be a bit of symbolism there, and we'll see more about it as we go on. But he's having a blast, and he's going to continue having a blast, and I'm here for it. Like let's get Robert Downey Jr. closer to a EGOT baby. He's already got the he's already got the Oscar. He'll be contending for an Emmy because of this, and we'll see what happens. But there during the scene at the dinner, when dinner at the reception, right?
Mm-hmm.
When Downey almost tries to humiliate him and turn him into a stereotype by having him do the uh what was the exact terms he used? Occidental
Yeah,
and non-occidental, or
Occidental and
Oriental. I don't
Oriental. Yeah, I think.
something like that. He almost wants to rip Downey's throat out and just goes on a rant, and then Downey just cuts him off, which I think is a great piece of symbolism of how that character wants the token nature of what the Asians are for his benefit, but not necessarily wanting them to fully speak out about it. And then I if I have to be honest, the general running a liquor store it feels very stereotypy, but I also think that's the point.
Mm-hmm.
And then the general is just kind of peak comedy at points, specifically when, for no reason, when they could just run to another building, when being chased by the women out of the refugee camp, they climb together into a porta potty. And he's like, "Why do we do this?"
Yeah.
Some would call it a shitty situation.
Waka waka.
Waka waka. It's where do you think this goes from here?
That's a phenomenal question.
We be because we have to assume that in some way he ends up getting shipped back to Vietnam. But it's a question
Yeah.
of how.
Right.
And we know that Downey's showing back up in that as a senator later.
Mm-hmm.
And we know there's one where Downey plays a Francis Ford Coppola inspired filmmaker. And we know from the trailer that there are scenes of a almost Vietnamese army training camp thing that we don't know if it was like told in flashback or it was like there's a training camp in these California hills for Vietnamese soldiers type type uh, type thing, but you have to assume he gets discovered at like episode 5 or 6, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's a question of how does he get back and ends up in this situation, and how does it end? And I only ask this because I know both of us haven't read the book. I know neither of us intend on reading the book before the show ends. So I want us on our own to try and figure out like what gets him caught.
Yeah. Right now on the surface level of just what we know, I'm gonna assume it has something to do potentially with the potential filmmaker stuff and him getting either like cast in the movie that Robert Downey Jr.'s character is part of, or getting recognized from being around it. Something with the filmmaker character.
See, I'm almost tempted to like go on. I don't want to quite say McCarthyism, but it's going to somehow involve the senator. I think
That too.
it's going to involve the senator, and the senator is how he's going to end up getting essentially ejected out of the country.
Mm-hmm.
Can I tell exactly what the causing act will be? I feel like weirdly it'll end up being, and I feel like it'll weirdly end up being Bon figuring it out, telling the general, and somehow the senator learns, and you get ejecto-seated back to Vietnam. But who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. It's an interesting show. Like I mentioned at the top, it really hasn't fully grabbed me in yet. And like Christian said, it's a slow unraveling story. So a lot remains to be seen, but we'll be breaking it down. Which will bring us to our X-Men 97 breakdown. Hit that funky music.
What boy? Streamer season after dark.
After dark. It's X-Men 97 time. Hit that. We got 3 episodes to catch up on, which will be the Motendo / Life Death Part 1, the Remember It episode, and Life Death Part 2, which will then lead us into we have 4 episodes left this season, which will be one that's kind of a standalone, and then episodes 8, 9, and 10 are all kind of like what's looking to be like a 3-part finale to this season. It's Tolerance's Extinction, which is pulling from 2 different X-Men comic runs, which is very exciting. But it is X-Men 97 time, and we'll kick things off with the Motendo Life Death Part 1. Christian, I know you had your thoughts on the Motendo portion of this
Well,
episode.
let's talk through the plot first, and then I'll go on my mini diatribe.
So it is Jubilee's birthday. She turns 18 in this episode, and she wants to celebrate her 18th birthday at the arcade. But Magneto says, "No, you're not doing that. They need to focus on training." And so Roberto, aka Sunspot, consoles Jubilee, who is surprised to find a new Motendo video game console in her room, which the artwork on the game cartridge kind of mimics one of the old school XMen video games, which is pretty cool. I laughed at that part because it's like, oh, just a random video game console that's never been here before showed up in my
Not
room.
suspicious at all.
What could possibly go wrong?
Huh.
I cracked up when they like went through the dialogue and that. It's like, I've never seen this before. It's like, I wonder why. But the two get pulled into a video game, and it was interesting the way that it happened, because you see like those like robotic kind of coils like go into like the noses of each of them, and that's a callback to the original X-Men animated series with the Mojo episode. Which, if you haven't caught on already, Motendo is just a play on Mojo, the character, combined with Nintendo. So the pair get pulled into a video game based on her previous adventures created by the alien master slave Mojo, who feeds off audience engagement, which this whole segment was very, very funny to me.
Wait, Kyle, Mojo Dojo Casa House?
Yeah.
Do you please say you know what I'm referencing?
I know what you're referencing. Yes.
Okay, good. You have me worried for a second. I'm like, oh no.
Mojo is it was weird seeing Mojo in this way, because typically Mojo is a giant fat slob. But Mojo got some plastic surgery done, Christian, and ratings are down in quarter 3, and it was a nice little jab and poke in this. I don't know if you caught on to it, where they said that Mojo was heavily investing in video games. Nice little jab at Netflix.
I mean, Disney's also investing in video games, gestures toward Epic Games.
So Jubilee enjoys reliving her past missions, but is convinced by Abscissa, an older digital copy of herself from the game's beta version, that she would be living an empty life. Abscissa helps Jubilee and Roberto defeat Mojo, and the pair return to the real world in some like Mortal Kombat-esque vibes. And then we get the ultimate lover story. Jubilee and Roberto kiss.
Forge.
Smooching happening. And then we get the life-death portion of the episode, where Forge takes Storm to his ranch, where he has created a machine that can restore her powers, though it seemingly fails. And Storm notices a strange owl flying around the ranch. And when Forge admits that he designed the technology which mutant inhibitor collars and executioner's radiation gun were based on, Storm leaves in anger. The owl reveals itself to be a demon called the Adversary, and it brings Storm back to the ranch and poisons Forge.
Which, before I begin my rant on this episode, I would say we're best at doing the last episode we're gonna talk about because it pairs with this one more, and then we'll go back to the big one.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay.
To a degree, yeah.
So here's where I go on my rant. We don't need this fucking Motendo half. It's pure filler. It is pure, unadulterated filler that I didn't care at all about. It absolutely, for half an episode, removed us entirely from the central narrative that was so successfully driving this show from the first 3 episodes.
Come on, Christian, we're just down in quarter 3.
I'm just sitting there. I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck am I watching?
It's Mojo.
But the thing is, when it jumps to Storm in the second half, I'm like, okay, cool, yeah. And then it just cuts us off without explaining, and then we get the second half, which is basically a full episode in well, I guess not technically full episode in the most recent one, and I'm just looking at this and going,
They
but
had
but 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 why not just do life death as one thing?
they
Why
had, they had us in the first
why
half. Not gonna lie.
why not just make life death one thing and it's so conducive and everything?
Jubilee's birthday. We have to celebrate.
Can we celebrate with a mission instead?
Yeah, they did it in the digital world. It was like Digimon.
Stick it somewhere else next time.
I agree with what you're saying. I thought the Motendo episode could have been its own standalone episode of just
yeah,
fun side mission type thing.
The best way, the problem isn't necessarily that it's filler. It's that it's paired with something that's significant that cliffhangs then to come back 2 episodes later. And it's just, I wish they either pot committed to doing a full 2025 on Motendo or just giving us the full life death in one shot.
Yeah. I get what you mean. It was cool seeing Mojo. There was a lot of callbacks to the original animated series in this episode, which was really cool to see play out with the whole, digital and gaming world with Mojo. But yeah, I mean, it was an interesting episode. The life death portion is obviously the greater payoff for what's to come. But I enjoyed this one. It was fun. Added a whole bunch of stuff with the life death stuff, but I totally get what you mean. But we also got the love interest sparking. Shoot off those Jubilee fireworks from your fingies. Who doesn't love a good teen love story?
I like a good teen love story. I just don't like having it feel jammed in there. Okay, so what do we want to rate this? And again, this is kind of the complicated thing because it's a mini story and then a whole story split in half. So I'm going to just give my grade on the Motendo part.
Okay.
Which I'll give it I don't want to be a piece of shit. Do you have my past grades pulled up?
I don't.
We've got to start a spreadsheet for that because I literally ask this every week and you don't have the answer for me. But I have been grading this show on the superhero scale. So on the superhero scale, I give it a 7.
Okay.
Just because I get why it's there, but it's not my cup of tea remotely, and I feel like it just drags us out from what was a really strong narrative through the first 2 things. So that's my thing on Motendo.
Confirm Christian's an Xbox guy, not.
I have one right over there. I have one. What? That's a foot. I've got one about 5 to 10 feet that way. I have one 5 to 10 feet that way, my friend.
He's an XMen box guy.
But no. Hey. I I have a DS, a a DSXL, and a 3DS. I was a Nintendo DS boy. I tell
Yes,
you what.
boys.
Huh.
Which I just got the iPhone emulator on my phone, and my goodness, is that a bad thing for me.
What is your grade for Motendo, Kyle?
For Motendo, I'm gonna give it a 7.4.
Okay. Okay.
It was
Which
fun.
average?
It was just like my only gripe overall with like the plot of it was like it was just like an easy win for Jubilee to beat Mojo. It was like, okay,
Yeah,
you
like
came in
that's
and got out. Like,
yeah. That's kind of another thing where it's like there's literally zero stakes.
yeah,
it's it's just like they're not gonna leave her trapped here.
Timmy Turner
Nah.
had higher stakes in the video game he got sucked into.
True, exactly.
So that's a 7.2
That's
average
that
for the
that's
Motendo portion.
okay. And now let's talk about the back half of Life Death.
So that is this past week's episode that came out on April 17th. Which during a war between the Shi'ar and the Kree empires. Whoa. Let's take a
Hold
time
up.
out. The Kree, let's go. We got some continuity here, ladies and gentlemen. Now
Continuity in this economy?
we know the Kree obviously mostly from the Captain Marvel live action movies, as their ongoing war with the Skrulls. But very cool to see the Kree in animated form along with Ronin and his hammer being actually full blown accurate to what we've seen in live action.
Yeah, that was something that really threw me for but like, wait.
I full on Leo memed when I saw Ronin and heard Ronin's name. I was like, whoa. I was like, hold on a minute, player. But Shi'ar Empress Lilandra Naramani announces her engagement to a now healed Charles Xavier.
Which this is the part that made me just go, okay, what the fuck's going on here? Like that was just so out of left field. I'm like, what's happening? Pardon? You're supposed to be dead.
He ain't dead, ladies and gentlemen. That boy is in space. So refusing to accept her sister marrying a Terran, Deathbird invokes the right of Madasha and challenges Charles Xavier to purge all of his memories of Earth to prove his loyalty to the Shi'ar. Xavier's refusal to renounce his memories of the X-Men results in a battle between the Shi'ar Imperial Guard and Deathbird until Xavier pulls everyone into the astral plane. Hello. Something that has been very familiar in the MCU live action, especially in these post-Endgame phases, and to educate them on the coexistence when this lesson is interrupted by a psychic vision of Gambit's death, which was very spooky. Everyone just turns into spooky, scary skeletons.
Shivers down your spine.
Xavier decides to call off the engagement and return to Earth. That scene was so well done, and just like seeing that entire sequence unfold was really, really cool in this episode.
Yep.
At the ranch, Forge uses...
Do we want to quickly grade that half? Because again, it's kind of its own story.
Yeah, that's fine.
8. It was good.
Yeah, I was gonna say like an 8.5. Enjoyed it. A lot of like fun, like, oh snap, I know who that is moments.
Rounding up to an 8.3.
It was very fun. I was like, holy shit. And like the battle scenes were really cool. And just like a different portion of the X-Men. Gladiator was involved in that portion of the episode too, which was another character introduction. I also cackled in the beginning when the one guard comes up and is like, didn't we tell you not to interrupt? And it's like, it's your sister. It's like, oh brother.
Oh brother, this guy stinks.
So then we get at the ranch, Forge uses his mother's spell book to expel the demon, and then Storm helps him search for a rare cactus.
Go away, ghost. Go away.
Be gone, Thought. Searching for a rare cactus that can cure the poison. Storm finds the cactus in a cave with a box of scraps, but is cornered by the adversary once again. The adversary is a creepy ass motherfucker.
Yeah,
Even for an animated like entity, that motherfucker is like a sleep paralysis demon.
Yeah, it's something that feels like it belongs in a Studio Ghibli film where I'm like, you're too creepy for this shit.
That thing's head turning like upside down. I was like, what the fuck? It's like, thank God I'm watching this at like 2:00 in the afternoon and not like
2:00 in the morning.
Yeah, because I would have been done.
Yabba dabba, I'm gone.
Yabba dabba, don't. Overcoming her fears, Storm regains her powers and defeats the adversary. And Storm heals Forge, and then they learn about the attack on Genosha. Elsewhere, a terrified Trask is confronted by the person responsible for the attack, Mr. Sinister.
No surprise.
There's a lot going on, and there was a mid-season trailer that came out as well that uses the we terminology rather than like a singular entity. So I think what we're building to in this 3-part finale that will be coming at the beginning of May to kick that off is we're going to figure out that there's multiple people behind everything going on with like the Sentinels and everything. I think Mr. Sinister's part of it. I think Mystique is part of it because the blonde chick that keeps showing up that's like a reporter or whatever, I'm 99% sure that's Mystique. So we're going to get that introduction of another, mutant in the fold. And there's a whole lot going on. Plus that trailer, we saw Captain America's shield. Let's fucking ride, boys. We ride at dawn. Big Bird gif. This episode was wild, very entertaining, and a lot to just like consume from it. But what would you give that back half portion with Storm getting her powers back and a creepy ass motherfucking sleep paralysis adversary?
Okay, so the combined entity of life death, I'll give an 8/8.
Okay.
Like it is a strong piece that isn't what I fully loved out of the first 2 episodes, but those 2 episodes were large battles, characters go bang, boom. This had a little more heart to it, and while I didn't care for the heart as much, I do think it was still functionally a great episode. And then when Storm gets her powers back, I mean, it's
bad
great.
bitch alert.
This is that's the sound of Omega label threat detected.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this. The overall for me for Life Death, I'm probably right there with you. I'm gonna go 8/8 as well.
So it's an 8/8.
Super entertaining, super like deep and like great storytelling. So yeah, go 8/8 there. And then we'll circle back now to episode 5, Remember It, which genuinely might be one of my favorite, if not my favorite episode so far.
Yeah, it was quite good. It's
heavy. There's a lot of like hidden detail in this episode that like on the surface you're not going to really pick up on, but man, what an awesome episode.
Run it down for us, Kyle.
Unable to tell which memories belong to her and which belong to Madeline. Jean Grey reveals her
Goblin
emotional
Queen.
confusion to Wolverine, and they smooch. He rejects her advances and tells her to talk with Cyclops, who she discovers has been communicating telepathically with Madeline. Magneto, Rogue, and Gambit travel to Genosha, where the Genosian Council asks Magneto to lead the country. He agrees on the condition that Rogue leads with him. Rogue explains to Gambit that she had a secret relationship with Magneto when she was younger, as his abilities allow her to touch him without hurting him, which she cannot do with Gambit. And at a gala celebrating Genosha joining the UN,
Gambit not happy about that.
Gambit's a sad motherfucker, I tell you what. A lot of fun, like hidden details in that gala as well. Some new appearances of different mutants and some really cool stuff
Okay,
in there.
so on the topic of that, my friend was super excited about Dazzler, but I didn't
Yes.
even. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't even notice her, but that's because I also was half watching parts of this, which I'll get into.
It was a minimal appearance, like it wasn't like on the surface really, but like Dazzler does make an appearance in this, which is very fun. Squid Boy makes an appearance as he gets out of the water and dries off immediately in his tux.
But Nightcrawler though,
Nightcrawler, let's ride. And then there's some like very fun like XMen like details in the gala. Which if you guys don't, I highly recommend watching Eric Voss's Easter egg breakdowns with New Rockstars, because he goes into like incredible detail of like each scene, and they're a huge help with us like breaking down these episodes the way we do them. So shout out to New Rockstars.
Which speaking of galas, why does Magneto get to have like the two hardest lines
Right,
this season?
man.
First in the second episode, like, don't make me let you down, as he's suspending them above the earth, and then what was it exactly? Then why do so many? It was about actual presidents being presidents and leaders being war criminals. And it's like
He had that, and then when he's protecting like Leech and his crew, drops a line in German too, which we'll get to. But at the gala, Rogue kisses Magneto and realizes that she made a mistake choosing him over Gambit. And then the time traveling Cable arrives with Madeline and realizes that he is an adult Nathan. Cable is sent back to the future before he can warn everyone of what is coming. An upgraded Master Mold and an army of Sentinels who attack Genosha and kill thousands of mutants. Gambit sacrifices himself to destroy the Master Mold, leaving Rogue heartbroken. An absolutely just like gut punch scene.
lest we forget about Magneto's sacrifice as well.
I was gonna say Magneto like bumps into that statue that kills a bunch of mutants as well. And the portion where Magneto launches that train. If you don't know Magneto lore, do yourself a favor and go look up some Magneto lore. But they also allude to it when he's like flashing back and you see a hand on some barbed wire. Magneto's whole backstory is that
Holocaust
is a Holocaust survivor. And in the animated series in the 90s, they weren't allowed to really reference that, but now they can.
Which I'll speaking on the whole Magneto backstory. My X/Twitter feed / whatever you want to call it feed randomly fed me the X-Men First Class clip from the Argentina bar scene. I'm like, oh god, it's so good. It's so good, man. Fassbender was so good in that movie.
Shout out Mikey Fass. But in this episode, you can see also like the yellow stars on Gambit and his parents' jackets and everything, and throwing a train, obviously, for anyone that doesn't know, taken to the concentration camps on trains. Like, that is a powerful, for an animated show, that is such a heavy and powerful scene. Just so well done. And Gambit's entire sequence in this, where he goes down and saves Leech and his crew and gets them to safety, and then comes up and sacrifices himself. And the name's Gambit. Remember it. Bon ami. Like, Gambit's a fucking dog. Like, I think Gambit might be in my top 3 X-Men. Just based on the way that he's portrayed in both the animated series and in 97.
But what about live action? Yuck, 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 yuck.
Yuck. Also, for everyone out there, I think there's going to be some not retconning, but like Gambit's not gone for good.
Yeah, okay, so I definitely wanted to get into this. I definitely feel like we're going to be getting some cable
Time travel shenanigans, yeah.
And that could end up... I feel like, and now this is me just spitballing, but he's going to end up going back in time enough times to that exact point where it'll actually work out.
Yeah, because in the mid-season trailer,
we see so much Magneto and Gambit's like...
And there's also a scene where Nightcrawler has like fencing swords almost, and in one of the opening trailers, that whole scene to Nightcrawler's back is Gambit with swords as well.
Yeah.
So
like I think kind of what's going on here is clear in that we're setting up for the entirety of the Genosian population battling Sinister and the Master Molds, etc. And that's how we get the end of season 1 across however many episodes.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot that transpires over the next month with the final 4 episodes. That, like I mentioned, like we're gonna see who's like truly involved in the Master Mold thing. I think it's a full-on like team that we're gonna get made privy to, and it's gonna be a fucking wild ride. I don't know if it's gonna be like time travel stuff, which makes the most sense with Cable, obviously. But we're totally going back to like 1940s because Captain America's coming through, and like, holy shit. That shield had some scratch marks on it, and that's either from Wolverine or from fucking whoever was on the Black Panther mantle at the time, because we learned in What If season 2 that the vibranium for the shield came from T'Chaka's grandfather or father. So like we could get a Black Panther cameo. I think it's more so Wolverine slash marks on that shield, but that's gonna be a fucking awesome ride. I don't know when that's gonna come through. Next week's episode is Bright Eyes is the title. So that could mean a plethora of things, but
it could mean more Sunspot.
Yes. 8 through 10 though is Tolerance is Extinction, and it's going to be an epic finale for season 1 of X-Men 97.
One little piece of one little cup of water I want to throw on the fire of this conversation. The part that kind of dragged for me in this episode specifically was and now I know this is stupid because it's such like a key scene, but in the lead up to the Rogue Magneto King Queen conversation, and in that conversation, I was kind of just like, I get why we're having this conversation, but fundamentally, I don't think it's going to amount to anything. And spoiler dead. But
Dead. Yeah, I think it was more so just like the inevitable build up to Rogue realizing she fucked up.
and then getting to see Psycho Rogue,
Yeah.
which that was some real Cruella de Vil at the end of 101 Dalmatians energy
Oh
there.
yeah. And then also like when Rogue is holding Gambit and saying I can't feel you, direct parallel to WandaVision when Vision is in the sword building all disassembled and Wanda does the same thing and is like I can't feel you. And we all know that truly Wanda is a mutant.
We don't need
Which
to get into this. It's too. It's 11:35 in the morning. We don't need to get into
that was a
this.
cool parallel. And then I think it was in the Motendo episode too. Is something I missed. There was a poster on one of the fences that was like a replica of something from either the animated series or one of the actual like X-Men video games, and Scarlet Witch was on the poster. So that was pretty cool. But
I'm gonna give it a 9.
I was gonna say I'm giving it a 9 too. I fucking love this episode. It was so well done. Shout out to
And-
Emmy Yonamura and Bo DeMeo.
And I'll say it once again. I'm grading these on the superhero scale. I'm grading this on a superhero TV scale. I'm not grading it on a TV scale because I fundamentally don't want to sound like a piece of shit when I'm grading these shows. Now, when we have conversations about the Sympathizer, I will be grading on a full TV scale there, just like I did with The Last of Us and plenty of other shows. But when it comes to this half-hour animated stuff, I have to grade on the superhero scale.
Yeah, I love this episode. It's my favorite so far of the season, by far.
Mine's still probably mine's still probably 2.
2 is good. I liked episode 2 a lot. But I don't know. This episode did a lot of like deeper than the surface like stuff that I really enjoyed. So an average score of a 9-1 right there, which allows us to head on over to everyone's favorite segment. All right, everybody. Like we mentioned, we're recording this portion after our X-Men 97 and our news and notes portion of the show. But we have to talk about this. We have to. It is one of my most anticipated movies of the summer because Deadpool fucks. Hugh Jackman is back as Wolverine, and this trailer blew my mind in so many different ways. And then I went and watched Eric Voss's trailer breakdown, and my brain was shattered into a million more pieces because he's a phenomenal Easter egg hunter and trailer breakdown artist over at New Rockstars. But Christian, Deadpool and Wolverine trailer, holy shit.
Okay, so I'm gonna start with something that's very much me commenting on things. For as bad as MCU movies have been over the last, let's just say, post Endgame run, they've been great at picking songs for trailers.
Mm-hmm.
They've been great, which Your Mileage Ray Mary on Quantum Mania, I didn't think it was that great at all. Using Goodbye Yellow Brick Road in that trailer, great job.
Mm-hmm.
Eternals using an old 60s song or 50s, I don't remember exactly when. Vibes, great. Deadpool and Wolverine using Madonna's Like a Virgin fucks so hard.
And that's ironic.
Yeah, again, like this is just great stuff. But One thing I love, and specifically with action, and this partially stems from the Kingsman franchise. Well, more just really the first two films in that, but when you pair a song you wouldn't necessarily expect with absolutely brutal action, so I'm not necessarily talking about the first Kingsman movie using Freebird as Colin Firth massacres an entire far left extremist church. I'm more so talking about how at the end, as the world is beating its, as people across the world are beating the snot out of each other, and Eggsy is fighting the girl with metal stabby legs. I don't remember exactly what they're properly called. It's a KC and the Sunshine Band song playing, and it's just so hilariously poppy. And you have that, and then the opening of the second Kingsman movie is a close quarters car fight to "Let's Go Crazy" by a Prince. And it's like yes, just give me this. So when the verse hits on "Like a Virgin" in this trailer, and it's just blood and guts flying from Deadpool slicing people, I'm like, this is cinema, baby. This is cinema.
Yeah, this trailer's unreal. If you haven't watched it, go watch it, because it's almost like a movie in and of itself with everything that's going on in it. But it opens up in a Canadian bar with old man Logan just there, with the bartender saying, "I told you you're not welcome here. You're not welcome anywhere. Now get the fuck out of my bar." Which is like, yes, F-bombs in the MCU.
Yep. Well,
Let's
no.
go.
James Gunn did technically drop the first episode, which that James Gunn got a very efficient use out of that F-bomb. But now I was talking about this with one of my comic book savvy friends. More F-bombs in comic book movies, because fuck them kids, because that's why.
Facts.
And now that won't happen because of the U.S. movie rating system, but also this is once again my petition to abolish the current rated R and PG-13 system, because let's be honest, some of these PG-13 movies ain't really push that. So what once again I am proposing, let's move towards the British system, where it's like there's like 12 and 12A, which is PG and PG-13, but 12A is basically like no one under 12 comes in, I think. There is 15, which is basically like low end rated R. But once again, it's like only people above 15, I think. I don't remember if the having an adult with you rule applies. And then there's 18. And one thing you will notice if you compare the US rating system to the British rating system, the overwhelming majority of rated R films here are 15 rated there. And you have the exceptions where it's just the outrageously violent or etc. film, like Wolf of Wall Street is a hard 18. Weirdly, the second John Wick film is an 18, but everything else is a 15. Which, having seen the second John Wick film, yes, I get it, but it's weird that only that John Wick film has an 18 grade.
Well, the third one got a 15 because Boban's in it. Everyone
Yes.
loves Boban.
But Boban with a book in the library.
Get
but
your former Sixers clue board now.
But I personally, as someone who's worked in a movie theater and who has dealt with people under 17 coming to see the horror movie du jour, and I'm like, ID please, and they're like, which, by the way, I will say one of the weird byproducts of the British rating system, basically any horror movie is an 18 grade, which don't love that. Don't love that. But also how they handle the amounts of violence versus violence versus loose sexual content versus sexual content makes more sense. But anyway, I've gone off on a rating system diatribe here. Sorry, this is just what happens when.
There's your rant of the episode.
Yeah, I mean, I may have had a rant somewhere else. It's just we recorded the other half like 3 days ago, so Lord knows.
So we get Wolverine say, "Just give me one more drink and I'll be out of your way," and then we
Hey,
hear
Peanut.
the lovely voice, which is also odd that he calls him Peanut because that is what Scott Lang calls Cassie.
Which we'll talk about, Scott Lang.
Talk about there's a lot of connections there. We get the man, the myth, the legend, Wade Wilson, Deadpool saying, "I'm going to need you to come with me right now." And Wolverine saying, "Look, lady, I'm not interested," which is a very important line, Christian. Like, yes, it's funny, but it's very important because there are a lot of rumors for this film because there are scenes in this trailer specifically where we see a Deadpool with different gloves than we've seen in different portions
Lady Deadpool.
Lady Deadpool is speculated to be in this movie, played by the one and only Blake Lively. Which, Christian, I'm going to get out ahead of it now. Obviously, Deadpool, Wolverine, X-Men, mutants. Do you want to know the deep dive conspiracy theory of who could potentially be showing up in the MCU?
Sure, and then I'll do you one better on an X-Men 97 related thing.
Okay, so the rumor, and shout out to Eric Voss for making me privy to this. There is a conspiracy theory speculation that Dazzler, who we talked about in our X-Men 97 segment that your friend was very excited about, Dazzler could be in this film portrayed by the one and only Taylor Swift.
Right. I remember this rumor being a thing.
Because out of nowhere, she's starting to pop up with Sean Levy and Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively. They're at the Super Bowl together, in the suite together. And then on Taylor Swift's album that recently dropped, she drops a lyric that includes the word Dazzler.
Yeah, okay, so
shout out to the Swifties.
Let me be clear about something. All these Taylor Swift lyric smith conspiracy theorist stuff. Stop! I'm begging you, please. Like,
you could use your brains for good over here.
Yeah. But like, she had a lyric about driving an Aston Martin into a ditch, and all the F1 people were basically like, there was a Taylor Swift Fernando Alonso rumor. Fernando Alonso drives for Aston Martin. Like, Christ, get me out of this hellscape. Get me out of this fucking hellscape. But where was I going with this? Taylor Swift, Dazzler, crap. I'm already forgetting
Said
where I
you
was
had
going
an
with this.
X-Men 97 point.
Well, it was something tied to what you had said. Just run through the Cliff Notes version again.
So Blake Lively, Lady Deadpool, Taylor Swift in the suite at the Super Bowl with Blake Lively, Sean.
Oh yes,
Levy.
okay, yeah, thank you. Okay, so now I will give some credit to the other stuff because there's a relatively famous video game designer called Hideo Kojima. For any of us nerds who know, Kojima, who's a Japanese video game designer who's the brain behind who's the brain behind the Full Metal Alchemist games and Death Stranding, and is now making a horror game with Jordan Peele. Which, good grief, that's gonna be fucking terrifying. But he is an immensely big movie guy to the point where he writes like 300 word reviews on Twitter, and then he will see the Marvels. He'll have two pictures in a tweet, and all it will say is, "I went and saw the Marvels." But so where I'm going with this is he's known to be consulting with a lot of people and, just taking pictures with them. And so there was a little clip and pictures of Kojima with Jordan Peele. And it's like, he's a big Peele's a big video game guy. Kojima's a big movie guy. Sure, yeah. And then not long after, at the Game Awards last fall, they come out together and announce their horror game. And it's like, okay, interesting. And so this feels like this could be one of those situations. So I'm not going to rule her out showing up as Dazzler, but I'm saying we got to bury the Taylor Swift lyricsmith if we're going over her using one singular word.
Well, I didn't pull it from the lyric, but I did find it very interesting that for like all NFL season, like her contingent wound up being Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively, and Sean Levy was there. It's like I can get Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively, like they feel like they run in very similar circles, and then Sean Levy's there. It's like,
well, I would counter that by saying, what's the right way to put this? Robert De Niro is to Martin Scorsese as Sean Levy. No, as Ryan Reynolds is to Sean Levy. Like those two do their thing together.
mm-hmm.
So that doesn't fully surprise me there. His gun saying smile.
It's great. It's great Deadpool stuff.
And then Whiskey Dick of the Claws and Wolverine's over him. Like, okay, great. Like,
Yep. Commented Wolverine's over 40.
What we have in the span of the first 20 seconds, like two F-bombs and one sex joke. I'm like, splendid. And then Wolverine pulls the gun closer to his head.
Yeah, the gun says "Smile, wait for the flash," which is great. And says, "Unless you want to pull it through your fucking forehead, I suggest you reconsider." And then Logan pushes his forehead closer to everything, and then we come to a place that looks like what I'm anticipating to be some sort of semblance of the Void, because that's what it looks like, just illuminated. Now, in Loki, when we've been in the Void, it's been dark, it's been different, landscaping, but we haven't seen it with like broad daylight. Now, another interesting part of this is that it's all white. And another big rumor about this movie is that we're finally going to get some sort of fucking answer about the giant celestial that is in the Indian Ocean that we saw in Eternals.
Finally.
Which kind of looks like this. But big takeaways is obviously the 20th Century Fox statue peeking through the ground, which the adaptation of this movie that everyone is believing is it's going to be very similar to instead of Deadpool kills the MCU, the Marvel comic universe, it's going to be Deadpool kills the Fox X-Men universe.
Which the first trailer had me feeling like that.
Mm-hmm.
The second trailer has me questioning that more.
We finally see Hugh Jackman in comic accurate Wolverine costume, which is just mwah.
Before he tears off the sleeves, which is mwah.
Yes. And
Hugh
then we get
Jackman's
the
13.
puts the Jack in Jackman. We get flashbacks to I'm about to lose everything I care about. And Wolverine says, not my fucking problem. And then Deadpool says, is that what you said when your world went to shit? So somewhere along the line, Wolverine's world went to shit. Where that happens, we don't know, but we do get an interesting scene that is pretty quick of Wolverine in front of these giant tombstones. And a lot of people online are saying this could be the mutants from the Fox X-Men universe that got killed, and then some lucky ones were displaced into other universes, and that's what happened to Wolverine. But very interesting moment. Wolverine falls to his knees in front of those, and then it cuts back to present day, and it's like, come again? And then we get Paradox from the TVA. The TVA confirmed for Deadpool and Wolverine, as they should be.
Is Paradox the name of the Matthew McFadden character?
I believe so. He's the one that says this Wolverine let down
his
entire world.
Tom Wobsgan's Nation Arise, Succession hero.
And then we get the exact fight sequence between Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds that we saw in the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie, which those parallels are just amazing. And then we get Wolverine sending his claws through the crotch area of Deadpool, which made me queasy. And just an awesome fight scene going on. And then we get Ryan Reynolds without his mask on, and it's great to see the little pieces of his hairpiece still poking through the staples when it got yanked off of his head, and says, want to talk about what's haunting you, or should we wait for a third act flashback?
Which 99.99999% were it's going to be a third act flashback.
Oh yeah.
Because meta.
And then Wolverine says, go fuck yourself. And then we get the cut to this July, which
life is a mystery.
We get Wolverine with the sleeves ripped off and Deadpool walking through. There is a Copperhead neon sign. Copperhead is a Marvel character. I don't know if there's any correlation to that, but interesting little thing in the background.
And then the names of the writers are on on one of the shops, right?
Yeah, and then we have Deadpool with gold pistols, which is amazing.
Golden gun, baby.
And Deadpool says, I don't know anything about saving worlds, but you do. And he pulls up a picture in the car, and Wolverine kind of just being like, how the fuck did you get this? And he says, trust me, kid, I'm no hero. Just moving forward more. And Wade Wilson, our Deadpool, says, you were an X-Man. You were the X-Man. And it's like, first time that gets dropped.
I'm so wet right now.
That was immediately screenshot by yours truly, and that is going to be an elite meme moving forward. As Deadpool says, I am soaking wet right now. And then the claws come out, and then we get an awesome fight sequence with some TVA agents that look like Halo characters. And then
which I will say that does look like the forest from Logan.
Yeah. Forrest from Logan, and it kind of gives a little Winter Soldier vibes too.
Yep.
And then we get the big reveal. Walking out, we don't know what it is yet, but we do know it's the Ant-Man giant head that has a skull inside of it. Cassandra Nova, ladies and gentlemen, which if you don't know Cassandra Nova, you're going to learn today.
Okay, so here's what I wanted to unpack. One of my favorite X-Men 97 conspiracy theories is that Cassandra Nova is behind it.
Yes! We're feasting on Cassandra Nova content. Now, if you don't know who Cassandra Nova is, she is one of the baddest motherfuckers in the X-Men universe when it comes to villains. She is, to put it in an easier way to describe things, the quote-unquote twin of Professor X, Charles Xavier, and it's going to be great when everyone finds out that in the comics, Charles Xavier absolutely punches Cassandra Nova right in the face while they're in the womb. It's amazing. It basically comes from everyone has what Cassandra Nova has, but Charles Xavier's psychic powers enhance what she is, and then she attaches herself to something in a sewer, and she becomes sentient and a human and a fucking savage. That is Cassandra Nova. We get more fight sequence, more up close of the Fox 20th Century sign, and we get Deadpool flying through the roof of the van. It's just amazing.
Which that's gonna be a great scene.
Cassandra Nova dropping a "Boys Are So Silly," and then we get clouds coming through that flash the purple, which looks very Alioth, very season 1 of Loki in the Void, and then we get the Ant-Man mask. Which, what the fuck is going on here? I have no idea. Eric Voss said that in Ant-Man Quantumania, when there's a whole bunch of Scott Langs and everything, he was, pulled in a whole bunch of different directions with every Scott Lang, so it could be some sort of effect of that, and Cassandra Nova's using the Ant-Man mask as a, psychic chamber type of thing, which is interesting. There's a whole bunch of mutants in front of this bad boy, though, Christian, and it is all the original actors, except for one. But we get OG Sabretooth, OG Toad is in the mix. Lady Deathstrike is back. All of these OG mutants from the original X-Men movie are back, and it's fucking wild. And then we got a nice little hot rod car, which, Christian, I don't know if you recognize it because it is a quick scene. That's motherfucking Red Skull's
that's
car.
That was some cap shit.
But if you zoom in on that bad boy, the Hydra emblem hood ornament has been changed to Iron Man's mask.
Yeah, this section of the trailer just kind of went Mad Maxy. I'm like, okay.
And it's got the flames on it, painted like Tony Stark's vehicle in Iron Man 1. Very interesting shit right there. Who the fuck knows what's going on? Then we get Wolverine gargling with some whiskey, which is just great.
Cheers, mate.
And then we get Deadpool saying big slow motion action sequence as he's with the dog. And then we get more Mad Maxy, a big old explosion. Deadpool saying, who knows if you live or die? And we get Wolverine battling Cassandra Nova, kind of just like being like, haha, too slow, and mimicking him using his claws. More action sequence. And then we get Deadpool dropping the let's fucking go, and then Wolverine, let's fucking go, which I was like, oh, give me this movie now. Let's ride, boys. And then we get to the most important part. Deadpool and Wolverine jumping out of the Ant-Man skull into a sling ring portal.
Which, Kyle, by the way, I probably should send it to you. I already found a chroma key effect of it, which I'm ready for you to use and abuse in every single way
Oh, yeah.
possible.
The most popular take of where Wolverine and Deadpool are jumping into, because the trailer obviously blurs where they're going to white, and I believe that's on purpose.
Of course, it is. We're talking about the same company that made us think Spider-Man was going to that tried to make us think that Tom Holland's Spider-Man was going to 1v X a bunch of villains. It's like, yeah, sure, buddy. No, you you definitely removed something there, or some things there.
So the big theory is that obviously it's a sling ring, so there's only a select number of people who could have opened this portal.
Ned,
being Doctor Strange, Ned, Wong, America Chavez, the Minotaur sorcerer, and then the Sorcerer Supreme from beforehand, the Grandmaster.
America Chavez would hurt my head.
Yeah,
It would hurt my head so much.
I think it's Wong, or
Wong
makes
would fit the best tone. Like, Wong has the best Deadpool vibes to him.
Yes, and it makes the most sense from this theory, because people are saying that on the other side of that sling ring portal, we are going to jump back to the endgame battle, where Wong is saying, "What, you want more?" And Wolverine and Deadpool jump through.
And they jump back through.
And then they say, "Fuck this," and then they jump back through. But the important part of this, too, is when you pause on the trailer, you can see in the background as they're jumping, Cassandra Nova is watching, and like she's got blood on her, and she's like smirking, so it looks like she wants them to jump through, and maybe she's trying to follow them through. But I like that theory that they are trying to jump to the end game battle. Another important thing is, as they're about to jump through, there's those black clouds behind the sling ring portal. They flash purple, very Eliath and the Void-esque, but also very Spider-Man No Way Home-esque, with the ripple effects of everything going on when all of the Sony Spider-Man villains were trying to come through at the Statue of Liberty, which is also very X-Men coded.
Yep.
Amazing trailer, and then it ends with the best Blind Al Wade Wilson scene. Want to do some cocaine, Christian?
No, we can't.
Cocaine is the one thing that Feige said is off limits.
What about Bolivian marching powder?
Bolivian marching powder. They know all the slang terms. They have a list. Even snowboarding, even disco dust. White girl interrupted.
Which that one is the one that sent me. That one was the one that sent me.
Even Forrest Bump, which was great as well. Do you want to build a snowman? Which is an immediate call to Disney being involved now.
Yes, but I can't.
And then the LFG drops July 26th. Can't get here soon enough.
That'll be 2 days after I land back from Europe.
This trailer's so good. I'm so pumped, and I just have to give a double bird to the person who said this is either going to be the greatest Marvel movie we've gotten since Endgame, or it's another Thor: Love and Thunder. How dare you put that in the zeitgeist about this fucking movie? Don't do that.
I refuse to believe that it can be worse than Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
Which, like, Love and Thunder's first two problems are, A, it's somehow too short, which feels like an impossible thing for a Marvel movie, and B, they just don't let Christian Bale cook.
Yeah. But I'm excited for this. This trailer got me so stoked, and this movie's gonna fucking rule. I love how they say this film is not yet rated, yet Ryan Reynolds has been preaching that this is gonna be the first rated R Marvel.
Yeah, and guys, how many F-bombs did you drop in the trailer?
At least 6.
6.
Plus cocaine references.
I'm pretty sure the limit's 1.
So
it would be hilarious if they pull a Scott Pilgrim versus the World bit, where in that movie there's one character that drops F-bombs, but every time they're bleeped in world. And it's one of the great running bits, to which at one point Michael Cera goes, "How are you doing that with your mouth?" And the character which is doing the person who is played by our queen Aubrey Plaza goes something along the lines of, "It doesn't matter." And it's just so great. It's so great.
It's the best. On a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you for this movie after the trailer? Mind you, everyone, this is Christian, who has not yet seen Deadpool, planning on.
I've seen Deadpool 1. I haven't seen Deadpool 2, but I know Deadpool 2 is directed by David Leitch, so I expect that I'll like it more than Deadpool 1. I'm just gonna cautiously say an 8, and this is Marvel's last stand. Like, because
No, X-Men Last Stand was a few movies before. Waka waka.
Waka. But if this doesn't do it for me, I don't know if I'll ever be incentivized to see a X-Men to see a Marvel movie in theaters again. Just because if this doesn't work for me, then nothing's going to work, and I'll just mosey my way over to James Gunnville and watch the Superman movie next July.
I'm pumped for this, just because I loved, like, this is coming from somebody. Now, Christian hasn't seen Deadpool 2. This is somebody coming from who has not seen any of the X-Men movies. I've seen like bits and pieces. I've seen clips. The only X-Men movies, quote unquote, I've seen are Deadpool 1 and 2.
I have seen the first 2 Fassbender McAvoy films, which the first one slaps because Fassbender gets a great scene in an Argentinian bar when he gets to kill Nazis. It's like, yes, this is cinema.
So I will eventually be doing an X-Men run. Truly from the standpoint that X-Men 97 has really like ignited my enjoyment of the X-Men as like a property. Like, I enjoyed characters as a kid. Like, when it came to X-Men, like, I thought Wolverine was cool. I always loved Cyclops. But I wasn't like fully in on the X-Men. Like, they weren't my go-to when it came to like superheroes and all that kind of stuff. So I never really paid too much attention when the live action movies were coming out. But now, like, I think X-Men 97 and having gone back and started to watch the original X-Men animated series, I'm prepared to take that dive. So if you guys get us to like over 800 subscribers finally, maybe we'll start the X-Men run. But yeah, I'm excited for this. Trailer was awesome. I also love that the music was the trailer dropped the same day that Like a Virgin made it to the charts and started the charts run, and Ryan Reynolds was like, "I swear to Marvel Jesus, this was not planned."
You did this to yourself, Ryan Reynolds.
There's also a fun theory rolling along that when they jump through that portal, because in a previous trailer, Ryan Reynolds says, "I am Marvel Jesus."
Yeah.
That he's
Don't tell me he ends up at the crucifixion.
No, that there's would be hilarious.
It would be so great, but
Fuck.
not happening.
But there's like talks that like Deadpool can like jump into any moment in Marvel and like replace important fixtures and stuff, and him saying I am Marvel Jesus is preparing him to say I am Deadpool, but as Tony Stark.
Kyle, I just thought of a hilarious merch idea. A cross with Deadpool on it that says I am, and it's I am Marvel Jesus.
But the cross is his katanas. I'm pumped. I love Deadpool.
PHI Apparel.
Code Underground 10% off. I love Deadpool. I'm pumped for this. Let us know your thoughts on the trailer and how excited you are for Deadpool and Wolverine in the comment section. But now back to your regularly scheduled programming. It is the streaming platform Multiverse news and notes brought to you by our pals over at Kenwood Beer, the official beer partner of Underground Sports Philadelphia. It's a refreshing light beer, just 4.1% ABV, only 120 calories and just 8 grams of carbs. You guys can go to kenwoodbeer.com and click on the Kenny Finder to see who's got Kenwood Beer on tap in the Philadelphia, New Jersey, Pittsburgh, and Maryland areas. You can also get it at your local liquor store in those markets. Also, check out the Kenny storefront to get your Kenwood Beer pint glasses, Kenwood Beer apparel. It's all top of the line. It's kenwoodbeer.com. Must be 21 or older to do so. And, of course, please drink responsibly. Christian, I brought this up to you before we get into the real full-on news and everything. Sixers are obviously in the playoffs as we're recording this, and
Pain.
Since we've recorded this, lost game 1, but Jerry Ferrara, Turtle in Entourage, tweeted to the Sixers players, please, please, please keep doing your interviews and talking your shit. We all know you have rich playoff history the last 10 years, in reference to B-Ball Paul saying that he preferred to have the Knicks in the first round of the playoffs, to which co-host of the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast and television writer extraordinaire Mike Levin quote tweeted Jerry Ferrara with this tweet that Christian has not heard yet. I will be pitching an Entourage reboot centering on B-Ball Paul, and the first scene is Turtle getting dunked on so hard he dies. To which I read Mike Levin's tweet in the voice of the SpongeBob narrator when they're doing the thing. It says, the original narrator, it took so long, we had to hire a new one. That's how I read Mike's tweet. Brilliant job, Mike Levin. Also, would love to have Mike on this show. Yes,
we'd love to have Mike on the show. So, I've got speaking of Mike writing a script to which the details are under wrap, but Emma Stone's reportedly attached to it. Which in the article about it, Kyle, they said the name. So Variety and Deadline can say the name, but apparently some media members can't say the name.
Makes you think.
Makes you think, but I know you will 100% be in on this. So, have you heard the news around a Chris Farley biopic?
Yes.
And Paul Walter Hash is attached.
Yes.
I'm in. Sign me up.
Yep.
Sign me up. Like Paul now Josh Gad's attached direct at the moment, which I'm a little skeptical of, but Paul Walter Hauser as Chris Farley. Yep. Check. Sounds good.
Yep.
Passes the sniff test.
We're doing breaking the fourth wall here. Oddly enough, saying that with this, we're recording a little out of order.
Hi there, everyone.
Um, by the time we finish recording this actual episode, we'll have a new trailer for Deadpool and Wolverine, which I am very fucking stoked for. That trailer comes out on Monday.
I'm kind of in the mood with Marvel where I'm just full shit or get off the pot. And I'm gonna be honest, I haven't watched Deadpool 2 yet, but I watched Deadpool 1 and I'm like, okay, and
I would genuinely love to sit down and watch Deadpool 2 with you.
prep the Zoom call time.
I would genuinely love that. But yeah, we had a new trailer coming for Deadpool and Wolverine. We also got a new poster, which Ryan Reynolds said that Hugh Jackman got his nails done for.
Steve Buscemi is joining Wednesday season 2.
Yeah, I like that.
Kind of feels like it fits.
Yes. Did you see this commercial or? Yeah, it's like a promo for Despicable Me 4 featuring Nikola Jokic.
Oh no! Oh no!
He goes to therapy to deal with the minions calling him Gru.
Okay, that's I haven't seen it, but that gets a clap that gets a clap out of me. I'll give that one to him. Well, we're apparently now You See Me 3 is happening, which I'm like, sure. Like, I enjoyed both Now You See Me films. Do I think they're high art? No. Do I have a good time? Absolutely. You get stars being charismatic, and I'm like, okay, sign me up. Cheers.
Did you see this quote from your boy Denis about Paul Atreides being the Michael Corleone of sci-fi?
Which, to be fair, if you know the story of Dune, it's like, checks out.
Quote, he becomes what he wanted to avoid, and he will try to find a way to save his soul in the third film.
Yes, he will. Kyle, Hitman.
Yeah, we watched the trailer. Looks fun.
So, for those who don't know, Hitman is the new Richard Linklater film, which Netflix bought. It. For those of you who don't know Richard Linklater, shame on you. Watch more movies, please. But he did the School of Rock movie with Jack Black. He did the iconic Before trilogy, which I still say is the best, are the best romance films ever. He did Dazed and Confused. He did Apollo 10.5 for Netflix. And he's done a lot of stuff throughout his career. Oh, and Everybody Wants Some. But now he has a new kind of comedy something film with Glenn Powell. Which, if you weren't on the Glenn Powell train yet, shame on you. But I've been on the Glenn Powell train for 4 years at this point, so get on or get lost. But it'll come to Netflix on June 7th. It got great reviews out of festivals, so yeah.
This next one is just going to prove how time is just the weirdest thing ever.
It's a flat circle?
Maybe 4 years ago this week, The Last Dance premiered.
Okay, so hold on. So I've been thinking about this solely because on Bill Simmons' podcast, he had the guy who did that on to talk about sports stocks.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been thinking about rewatching it just because it's probably one of the most psychotic, how the fuck did they get this to happen docs ever? Which, again, they were trying to make it for 20 years. And the reason this popped back into my head was because in the time since we've last had a podcast, OJ died. And the fact that OJ made in America, which was an 8-part docuseries, 8-part documentary, won the Oscar, and which then forced the Oscars to change their rules around documentary to be it has to be one straight shot. It can't be multi-part, which is why The Last Dance doesn't have an Oscar. But if they didn't change that rule, it would 100% have an Oscar. But that's just something that came. That's something that came to my mind. But yeah, Last Dance, still one of the greatest feats of archival 21st century documentary filmmaking, mixed with just insane interviews.
Also, what happened this week, 19 years ago, one of the most iconic scenes and episodes from The Office, the basketball episode, released 19 years ago this week.
Kyle, do you want to phone home? Because Spielberg's making another original idea UFO film.
Okay.
That's all we know.
Okay. I forget if I told you this. Speaking of Steven Spielberg, he's been in Vineland at Mike Trout's golf course.
Steven Spielberg, come on the pod.
Literally, him, Tiger Woods, and Mike Trout have been in Vineland together. What a crew!
I was just gonna say that's a really weird collection of 3 people. That's a really weird collection of 3 people.
I saw Mike posted the pictures a couple months ago. I was like, "What? What?"
Steven, do you even play golf?
I was like, "Are they filming a documentary about Tiger Woods building golf courses, or about Mike Trout?" The Iron Claw releases on Max May 10th.
Good movie. I will already say this now, Kyle. We need to loop Pat Pitts in for that because I'm pretty sure Pat saw that. And if Pat hasn't seen that, we're forcing Pat to watch it, and then we're looping him in for a 20-minute convo. There's 2 not Spielberg, close Scorsese movies reportedly in the works. We have his long gestating Frank Sinatra biopic with Leo as Frank and Jennifer Lawrence as Ava Gardner, which the Jennifer Lawrence stuff is a better casting in my opinion than Leo. And then in his Jesus movie, it's Andrew Garfield and Miles Teller are reportedly being eyed for Jesus, which, let me just say this. You're casting, if Miles Teller gets the role of Jesus out of those 2, I have questions. Make him Judas. Make Andrew Garfield Jesus.
This is one of the craziest stories, but like just a testament to the actor I'm about to bring up. Giancarlo Esposito says that before he was cast as Gus Fring, he was severely broke and contemplated arranging his own murder to ensure his children would receive life insurance money. The light at the end of the tunnel was Breaking Bad.
I feel like he's not the first actor who we've heard say that.
It's crazy. I was watching a new Untold Story, one of the Barstool podcasts, because they're in Chicago now, and one of them, Rudy, he stumbled upon filming for The Bear, and they were like just talking about it, and they said Jeremy Allen White just rips cigarettes on set.
Doesn't surprise me. You look at that man and tell me he doesn't smoke.
He looks like he smells like cigarettes.
Well, Kyle, we got a trailer for Trap. Did you watch the trailer for Trap?
I did not watch the trailer for Trap. I don't even know what Trap is.
So Trap is the new M. Night Shyamalan film. Which is basically, and so I'm going to say as much as I can without getting in trouble, because I saw a test screening of this. Josh Hartnett takes his young daughter to a concert for this pop star. And there's like a lot of security and stuff all around and surrounding the place. And he goes to this t-shirt guy. He's like, "Hey, what's going on here?" And the security guy's like, "I'm not supposed to tell anyone this, but but this concert's a giant sting operation to catch this serial killer." And Josh Hartnett's the serial killer. So he basically has to figure out how to get out of this thing, get out of this stadium, which they try to say is in Philly. But if you've been in Philly and you get through the first 10 minutes of that film, I don't care if it says Shake Shack and whatever inside. That stadium doesn't exist in Philadelphia at all. But
What do
yeah,
you mean? It's the renderings for the Sixers' pipe dream to have.
which one? I'm gonna be honest. The exterior of the building looks closer to the Sixers practice facility than it does anything that would ever exist in Center City. Fallout. I've watched the first episode. I think it's good. Kyle, I don't think you've watched any of it yet. Have you?
But I've heard great things from a vast variety of different people who have different tastes in things, and it's been nothing but good.
Do we want to talk about how Blade is going to finally start shooting this summer? Yikes! I have. This feels like it's gonna be a fucking train wreck. I got a bad feeling about this, boss. I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark.
Yeah, we'll see. Looking here. This comes from inverse.com. The XMen 97 directors want to make an animated film. It'd be great to bring these X-Men. It would be great to bring these X-Men, these characters, this style, and this work to the silver screen.
Okay. I mean, speaking as someone who works at a theater, if you make it kid friendly enough, it'll definitely do some business.
Keanu Reeves cast as Shadow in the
Cheers.
Sonic movie, which I saw everyone saying it should just be Keanu Reeves with a red stripe in his hair.
I just saw this, and this is making me very happy, even though this news is like over a week old. Monarch: The Legacy of Monsters is getting a second season. Let's fucking go! Because that show slapped.
13 years ago this week, Game of Thrones premiered.
Well then. Huh. Let's throw out like a few more. There's apparently a reboot of the Scary Movie franchise in the works. Why? Tell me why.
Ain't nothing but a heartache. I also have not done anything but cackle anytime I see the picture of Dave Bautista, Stellan Skarsgård, and Austin Butler together on the set of Dune 2.
No, see, my Austin Butler photo is him, Robert De Niro, and Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, we talked about that one. That one's hilarious.
And it's like, okay, how big of a blunt is not in this frame?
This is something we should definitely hit on because allegedly, according to at the information on Twitter,
Real official.
Disney Plus is going to add channels They will each have a continuous scheduled stream of shows within specific genres like Marvel and Star Wars. Ladies and gentlemen, cable has returned.
I was texting with my friend about this. I'm like, so they're just creating a rebooted version of Disney Channel on Disney Plus.
Dun, 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 dun. Like, what are we doing? That's insane.
My only potential defense of it here is, and I don't know this for sure, but I think Shudder does a similar thing.
And I saw people saying Peacock does something similar.
I don't think I don't want to get in a whole Peacock rant here, but I genuinely think it's one of the worst streaming services. Like I was trying to watch a shout out to our F1 underground crew. I was trying to watch the IMSA race this weekend, and I don't know if it's the NBC production or the way this streaming service handles it, but it was unwatchable. And all their IMSA stuff is just so unwatchable because of the constant ad breaks, and they don't do picture in picture, and makes me want to jump off a bridge. Like the only thing I find Peacock useful for is the occasional TV show and the Olympics. And if for some reason I ever decide to watch the Premier League, it's such a small thing that sure you can invest in TED and everything, but I don't care enough, guys. You aren't doing enough to drag me in.
This is a great quote. Scott Pilgrim Takes Off creator says Netflix releasing all episodes at once is, quote, the dumbest shit ever. Quote, there's literally no upside. Imagine if the whole season of X-Men 97 was out.
Like, now, Kyle, I know I pestered you about us watching it, and you didn't watch Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, but I'm going to pester you again. Maybe when we find time at some point, I don't know, we can get you to watch Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, because have you seen Scott Pilgrim versus the World?
A long time ago, but yes.
Okay, so first you'll rewatch Scott Pilgrim versus the World, which it's fun, it's short, it's great, and then you'll watch the show, and then after one episode you'll be like, wait, why did they drop this all at once? Because if they dropped it week by week, oh my god, it could have been so good. But like, this is my thing with Netflix. Netflix as a service, while they have the biggest market cap, fumbles the bag so fucking hard. Where it's just like, your show could be in the conversation for 8 weeks, for 10 weeks, but say you drop it all at once and it's in the conversation for 1 week, 2 week. They're so focused on the binge model that they're throwing away being able to have their shows have a long run. And now let me make it clear, like, I don't think something like Drive to Survive should be a week by week thing. Like that's a reality show thing. Well, no, it's basically a yearly docu-series. Like, drop it all at once. Cheers. But if you're actually doing a TV show, it should be a week by week thing. A great example of this is Ripley, which is a show they dropped, which is great show, amazing show, stupendous production quality. I've watched 2 episodes, but I'm in no rush to watch the other 8 because I know they're just going to be, or the other 6, because I know they're just going to be there. If they did it on, like, it's dropping every Friday, I will be seated every Friday night watching one of these episodes. And I'm just like, it's such a back fumble. And I feel for the Scott Pilgrim versus the World staff.
Director Derek Drymon says, quote, "There will be nudity in the upcoming SpongeBob movie."
Which, whatever that means. One more thing, Kyle. Give us one more to close out this night.
Let's see here. Christopher Nolan on the timeless appeal of Batman. Quote, "The Batman mythology, one of the reasons it's continuously interesting and continuously reinvented by new generations is because of that essential idea of a good vigilante, somebody who feels they have to resort to criminal methods or be outside the system in order to fix the system. It's endlessly complex and interesting." That was in a YouTube interview. Couldn't agree more. As Batman being my favorite DC entity, it's true. It is the easiest yet most difficult, in my opinion, DC character to capture. And for the most part, in our lifetime, we have had great renderings of Batman.
We don't need to acknowledge Joel Schumacher
or Batfleck.
Well, to be fair, I don't think he's the problem as much as the movies are.
Yeah, I just wasn't a fan of the interpretation of Batfleck.
Sure, but that's also not necessarily on his performance as much as that's what he's given to do.
Yeah.
And now, to be fair, I dislike those Zack Snyder movies to a very high degree.
Shout out to the 13% Rebel Moon 2.
Congrats, Netflix, on continuing your money laundering schemes by funding 2 Zack Snyder movies that 1 million bots will watch.
Yeah. I saw somebody say, like, trying to make the argument of comparing Rebel Moon to Dune and Star Wars.
All right, Kyle, where are they? Where are they?
I was like, what the fuck are we talking about?
All right. It's 12:04 in the morning. I think it's smart for us to call it here.
Oh, yeah. Make sure you guys are following us at StreamerSZN, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Threads,
LinkedIn.
Check out the Underground Sports Philadelphia LinkedIn page. We're like just doing some test stuff on there to see how it works. So yeah, check us out on LinkedIn. That'll be linked in the description, no pun intended. Subscribe to the podcast feed on Apple and Spotify. We get direct analytics for those 2 platforms, so we want to be pushing those big time. Leave a 5-star rating and review on both of them. Subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. Let's get to 800 subscribers before the end of the month. Let's make that happen. Smash the like button, ring the bell icon, leave a comment down below who your favorite mutant is. Let's see who everybody's enjoying in XMen 97. And get your merch at phiapparel.co, code underground, 10% off your orders. And this has been another edition of StreamerSZN, the exclusive streaming platform, TV and movie podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. For Christian, I'm KB. We're going to go sympathize with some mutants. But until then, catch you guys next time. Peace.